Ulm is a city located in southern Germany. It counts approximately 125,000 inhabitants and together with its neighbor city Neu-Ulm makes up for about 185 inhabitants. It is located in the Alb-Donau region and is an attractive city to live in and to visit. The sites our city is especially well known for is the Ulmer Münster, at the moment still the highest church in the world, its historic buildings, and maybe also the fact that Albert Einstein was born here. One thing our city isn't actually very well known for is its transport system. Well, why should it be? We are only a normal, middle-sized German city. In Ulm's mobility landscape, we have a lot of cars, trams, buses, bikes, cargo bikes, and even some pedestrians. We also have some sharing options, car sharing, and just recently, e-scooters entered the city. Whilst all those mobility options exist, it is quite hard for users to find those options without having to switch from one app to another, let alone to combine those options. In most of the cases, you'd probably be faster walking than comparing all various options in order to find your perfect route. And this is exactly where SharePlace steps in. Within the SharePlace program, a team within Ulm City Administration adapts the free and open source software stack DigiTransit to Ulm's circumstances. DigiTransit is a routing solution originally developed by Finnish transport officials. It allows for intermodal routing on the basis of internationally accepted open standards, and by doing so allows to integrate various modes of transport, from plane to train to even rocket if you want. And the best thing is, it is free and open source software, which means that everyone is able to reuse, copy and adapt the underlying code base to their needs. As this fits perfectly to the SharePlace goal of A. Integrating mobility services and designing sustainable and therefore transferable solutions using open data and open standards is Ulm's way to go. Why did we choose an open source solution? Open source software is licensed under a free and open license, which allows third parties to look at, copy and extend the underlying code of the software. This makes the software adaptable to different circumstances, like different cities, different modes of transport, different topography, different customer needs, and many, many more. All these opportunities give the freedom to not be dependent on one particular supplier, but allow to either do it yourself or to go look for help somewhere else. Furthermore, it makes software more resilient to unforeseen changes and challenges cities have to face, like, for example, new mobility services in the transport context or new technologies. Why did we choose DigiTransit? As we just mentioned, DigiTransit was developed by Helsinki officials under an open license and was provided to the public on GitHub. Little by little, more and more cities discovered the potential of DigiTransit and simply started to set it up for their own city and adapt the code to their specific needs. But not only cities work with it, it's also transit agencies, interested developers and many more. As the code is open source, the diversity of people who profit from it is almost unlimited. Furthermore, all those people do not only share improvements, but also work together to solve problems. Within SharePlace, Ulm joined that already existing network. Soon enough, we identified the three most important goals of making DigiTransit a transferable solution for the SharePlace project. Number one, the most important thing, a neat and clean documentation of the steps that must be taken in order to get one's own DigiTransit instance up and running. This gives cities and regions the possibility to not having to reinvent the wheel, but to build on already up and running software and rely on the wisdom of the community that already uses the open source software, be that DigiTransit or any other software. This is why we set up a documentation cookbook for DigiTransit, which serves one very basic setup featuring public transport, and then allows to individually decide, adding various flavors to your mobility menu, like for example, the integration of micromobility services. By doing so, we want to provide other cities and regions with very basic mobility needs, but also offer the possibility to integrate other mobility service if the local and regional preconditions allow for it. A second very important thing is community building. To foster their community around DigiTransit further, the SharePlace team put a lot of effort in community building measures and already developed some of the new features together with other cities. We did that through national and international exchange within Living Labs and targeted events. And as a third element, we developed new features in Ulm's pilot. First of all, before you begin here, in order to provide digital information on mobility options, you need that data provided according to internationally accepted standards as open data. No open data, no integration. The first feature we developed was free-floating bike sharing and the integration of scooters. In the beginning of SharePlace, there were no bike sharers active in Ulm. This is why OpenBike, an experimental bike sharing developed in another project, serves as a proof of concept for integration. In the meantime, scooter sharers entered the market in Ulm, and we also got them to provide their data as open data. This is why we could integrate it into DigiTransit. The second thing we worked on is the integration of dynamic data on parking lots and the routing towards those parking lots. And a third feature, which we are working on at the moment, is the integration of electric charging station. This will probably be completed until the end of October. Now we can find a route in Ulm with different modes of transport, which is perfect, but there is still too many data locked behind closed doors. DigiTransit will further be used in the city of Ulm in order to get data providers to provide their mobility services as open data and according to internationally accepted open standards. Also, we use DigiTransit to learn how intermodal mobility can be designed successfully, and we pass on this knowledge in the mobility landscape in and around Ulm. There is still a lot to do, and the journey has just begun.